In that case, it is now 5:31, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We've got the GRANBY School Committee at 5:35. Are you guys waiting as just you two, or are we waiting on somebody?
Well, Jen was coming.
Okay, well, I mean, we can wait till 5:35. That's fine. I don't mind.
But I don't know how much more information she has.
Yeah. I mean, we can go.
Okay.
It's okay. So we would, this isn't new, but we'd like to make upgrades, updates, renovate, whatever words you want to use, to the kitchen at the high school. So long story short, based on, is it honorary? Yeah. Based on COVID this year and with air circulation and all the studies that we had, it was determined that we could not use that kitchen to prepare, serve food to our students. So for the year, everything was being done at East Meadow and transported over to the high school. Obviously, with hopes that kids will be back in the school full-time in the fall, we can't endure that type of load on East Meadow again for next year. So we would like to get the ball rolling, to have some renovations made to that kitchen. Obviously, we're going for a statement of interest for an MSBA project, right? So we're very cognizant of we got a lot of things going on right now. Our main concern was following the process to get the bids and specs and all that stuff started for renovating the kitchen. So I had originally reached out to Chris, because he's the procurement officer for the town, how we would like to go about doing this process, because it's a designer selection process. So we reached out to Chris just to make sure that we were all on the same page on how we wanted to move forward. And then we were asked to come to select board. So I'm not sure if there's any specific or particular questions, but that is why we are in front of you guys tonight. We just want to make sure that if we're going to go ahead with this, we are doing it in, obviously according to state law, but obviously in conjunction with the town, and make sure we're doing everything the right way.
All right. So I get that we need to have something in place. I have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm remembering what I read right, the project will be in excess of $300,000. Is that correct?
Probably.
Okay.
Yep, probably.
Have we looked, and I know that it's a burden because East Meadow Kitchen is smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So preparing meals for 3 buildings would be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think it would be impossible, but I think it would be difficult.
Yep.
Have we looked at any other alternatives, like the possibility of somebody catering, to see if those numbers would come in less expensive, simply because we are doing the SOI? And I would hate to put this money in.
So to answer that, we haven't looked at any other options. I guess our only other option is, if needed, we could make it work for East Meadow. It'd be tight for Chartwells and tight for food service, but for a year, as long as we had some more logistics in place, we could probably make it work. Again, I said we're very cognizant of the statement of interest, and if we were to go ahead with some renovation or updates, how that would look, and coinciding with maybe a future, larger renovation of the building, that would all come out, I guess, if we were to move forward with just the kitchen project. But to answer your question, no, we haven't looked at any other options other than we could make it work at East Meadow if we have to. But as you guys may or may not be familiar with, that statement of interest, even if we get approved, we're looking at 3 to 5 years before we start something, and we definitely can't wait 3 or 5 years. We can't wait more than this year, really, to
No, I understand that we
improvements to that
can't
kitchen.
wait until we actually get a new building. I just wonder if it would be palatable, isn't the right word, but it's the word that I'm going to use. If we could find a solution and not have to ask for some more money until we know what the status is. Because they may say, you know what, the building's not worth us even touching, we're not touching it, in which case we are going to have a fix. We get that.
Yep.
I mean, I think if we had an idea of whether, you know, we'll get a response within 6 months, 8 months, whatnot, that might be a little bit easier. I mean, $300,000 and up, and I mean, it could go up, right? I don't know what the
Yeah,
the
so
scope
again,
of it
because
is.
of the scope of the work, and Chris, obviously feel free to jump in, it's called designer selection, right? So
Yep.
the design part will give us more insight onto how much that construction project will be. So we don't know, you know, we're assuming if we're gonna do it, it would be around $300,000 or so.
Right, and one of the things a lot of people in this town say is that we're fond of doing studies, but never following through with them.
Yep.
So I want to be able to follow through with whatever
Yeah.
it is we decide to do. What do you think about, what are your?
Could you refresh me now? I forgot your name. Can you
Adam.
refresh my memory? Adam? Adam what?
Tarquini,
Tarquini?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
What's our student enrollment between the high school and the other two ones? Less than 5?
700.
I know it's gonna fluctuate every year up and
Yeah,
down, but,
700-ish.
so those 700 meals getting pumped out of the East Meadow?
Well,
And you put them in carts and you wheel them across the parking lot to the
yeah,
high
where we
school?
transport them in our van, yeah. So, and this year was, I don't want to say easy, but it was easier because they were all prepackaged, lunch, in bags.
Oh,
We
got
were
it,
just
got
getting
it. So
them
you,
out.
instead of having a hot meal or something
Right,
cooked
so-
in
We did
the
not-
buffet line?
Yeah, we did not.
And again, the plan for next year is to continue that, but we were also hoping to give a few more options at the high school for the older kids, right? Instead of just the bag lunch. But.
You're dealing with
yes.
vegetarians or anything like that? You have a separate
that?
menu for vegetarians?
Not as it is right now. Not as it is right now.
And what's wrong with the equipment that's in the kitchen?
It's not necessarily the equipment,
The air
it's the ventilation and the
The ventilation,
airflow
okay.
in
Like the rest of the building?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
Well, there's no makeup air in the kitchen.
in the kitchen.
So there's only one vent, and that vent is sucking
Oh, here
all
comes
the
Jen.
air through the building and over the food and out. And that's why we.
So is that why the cost is that high?
So again, I don't want to call it a problem, but here's kind of the situation we're in. Do we do the bare minimum and make up air to the kitchen? Or do we enhance the kitchen a little more while we're already doing the work? Or do we go all the way and, you know, retrofit that kitchen similar to an East Meadow while we're there doing the work, right? So there's some options that we've been talking about. What's the best one? We don't know. But it's a good question. Yeah. Do we do the bare minimum? Do we do just a little more, or do we just go, you know?
No,
all the
have
way?
you reached a designer yet to do this?
We haven't,
No,
because
there's a whole
so again,
process.
that's
It's a
kind of
whole
why we're
process.
here, because it's a bidding process, and that's why we're here. We want to make sure we do it the right way. So.
'Cause I remember when I was in college, I did kitchen design. So that was, I don't know if you could reach out to one of the schools or something, try to get in on it, one of the local colleges. But I get where you're coming from. You
Yeah.
have to do
Yep.
certain way,
Yep.
follow certain regs.
They can't even go into the kitchen. They're in
Yeah.
the cafeteria, and they have, like hot lights,
Yep.
you know, but they can't even go, we're not allowed even to.
So they can't grab a tray and go through the line
Nope.
like the old days?
No
Wow.
one's allowed in that section.
Okay.
Do we know the square footage of the two kitchens offhand?
Of the high school and East Meadow, not offhand, but we can certainly get that information. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, and just because that I know in the past, the high school was the cooking kitchen before East Meadow was renovated, and then meals were distributed to both West Street and the high school,
Okay.
which I'm sure was probably difficult for them to do there. But I'm thinking or hoping that if we have a similar square footage, it might be something that we could do until we find out where the statement of interest lies.
Yeah.
I mean, no direction we go in is a good direction at this point in time. And that's the sad fact that we're all gonna deal with.
Again,
And I'm just praying for a new building, so I'd like to save all the money we possibly can to go
Yeah.
towards a new building.
Yeah.
How much of the design?
I think that was 30,000.
So again, it's a two-part thing, right? So to go out to the bid, the design either has to be, I believe 30,000 or more, and then the construction 300,000. There's a couple of thresholds they have to hit to do this. With the assumed scope of that, we're assuming we're gonna hit those thresholds.
Yeah,
to
I think
go
the email
through all
said
this.
300,000 was gonna be
Yeah.
the very minimum,
Yeah.
and he was expecting to be
Yeah.
upwards of 500,000. And when you tell me that 300,000 is gonna be bare minimum, but you expect to be over 500,000, that's when I start to go.
Well, there's a couple things, so
And I know it depends on what they find.
Also with the lack of materials and production now, like the costs are, so who knows, there's a few different obstacles we're gonna face, when this comes time.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, right, like, I'm not sure we need your approval, but you say yes tonight, we're not getting this done until probably the first of the year, early spring, by the time all this goes through, we start, so, the later we wait, we're already kind of losing a year.
Right, no, and I get it,
unfortunately.
and to be honest, I don't know if you need our approval for it. But I appreciate that we're having the conversation, and that's what you just said is part of my hope that we could find a different solution, because we're not even gonna get into this process till spring.
Yep.
So we're already going to have to figure something out from September to February, March.
And we kind of assumed that anyway, so we were already gonna use East Meadow for probably the first quarter, the first couple months of school, with the hopes that maybe we could get the project completed around the first of the year, late winter. So that was already in our plan. Doing it all year, again, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we'll have to do. We'll work with Chartwells to make sure we can do that.
I mean, I don't wanna say that's what we have to do, because that's not our job. That's
Yep.
really a job for the town to do. I mean, I want us to all, to be on the same page and in agreement with the best course forward. And I don't necessarily know that I know what that is. And I don't think anybody does, right?
Is the design already in
No.
process? So you need this approval to get everything
So
going?
again, I just want to be clear. So we originally just reached out to Chris to see how we should move forward in the process with him, with the town, with everyone working together, so we're all on the same page, because it's a large project. And then we were invited here. We weren't sure what we need to be here for, approval so we haven't started anything
Right.
yet of the process.
Right.
Other than having the building inspector and.
Kathy,
Yeah.
you got something to say back there?
Well, I'm just curious, is there a cost to this design selection? And if there is, has the money already been allocated? Where's it coming from?
So our hope was using some of the ESSER 3 CARES money that we got, which is around $650,000 to help offset some of this, some of this cost, whatever it will be.
And the reason we can do that is because we found this as a result of the COVID.
Right,
So
it's COVID related.
It's COVID related, so it funnels into that, so it's not gonna be, when they go to audit it, it'll have,
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody has any concern about that. That's definitely a COVID-related expense on that side. How much?
Not you guys.
What?
I meant the government, not you
I was like,
Yeah.
what?
No, I know you guys are, but we keep finding more and more, seems like there's more strings to that money that, has
Than
to be
anybody
tied back.
originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a sad fact. I mean,
It is what it is.
it is what it is, but we'll have to work around it. How much, if you decided and you were able to use the ESSER funds, how much of those would you be able to use towards it, do you think?
I mean, so off the top of those ESSER funds, again, it's about 650,000. We need to use 20% off the top of that to focus on social, emotional, getting kids
Catch up and stuff like that.
remediation, all that stuff. So that's about $100 and something thousand. So right off the top, that's coming off.
That's coming off.
Essentially, we could use the balance of that, depending on what the scope of the project is. If it didn't exceed that amount.
So if it didn't exceed the 300,000, you guys would have everything in the bag, so to speak. You'd be able to cover that.
Yeah. Yep.
And if not, we'd
I
have
don't.
to.
Yes, we would be able to. We're gonna.
You prefer not to, I guess.
Exactly. We
I
prefer
get it.
not to, but if we needed to, yeah, certainly.
I get it.
Yep.
No, I understand.
Certainly.
And I don't necessarily know that, any one person should be covering the complete cost of it. It is a town building.
Question.
Answer, maybe.
So is the high school still the designated shelter for the town?
Chris, did the high school, or is it East Meadow? High school still? It's the high school.
That's the one that has the generator hooked to it.
So I know, does that, because it's a town building, it doesn't matter, I'm just like, as far as, if there was an emergency or whatever, what would we do between now and then? If we can't use the kitchen at the
It's a very good question.
safety school.
It's a very good question.
Because we had, 10 years ago, we had the tornado. And
We had Irene.
Snowtober,
Yeah.
and people were using it as a safe, people were living there. So I don't know if we were doing meals out of the kitchen, but I know people were staying overnight in the gym on cots and showering in the locker rooms, so.
Somebody was showering in those locker rooms?
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Well water everywhere, no power.
No
What do you
power.
do? So I mean, that's just something that we have talked about, just Adam and I, like what do we do if the high school is the shelter, appropriated shelter, whatever the correct terminology is, and we have an emergency between now and then?
And that brings up a bigger question, actually, because even by Adam's admission, we wouldn't even be able to get this done until, even if
Well,
it were
that's what I
to
was
be
thinking.
done
You're not gonna-
today.
But there's no
To be
showers.
honest, I think the easiest thing would do would to be designate East Meadow as
East
the
Meadow as the
emergency
shelter.
But
response,
there's no showers there,
Yeah.
Right.
so there's those things, so it's just a question that I was thinking about, and Adam and I have talked about it, like, do we go through the process of finding out if we can even name East Meadow as the designated shelter, and if we can't, and we have to stay with the high school for X, Y, and Z reason, is there money that we could go after from the state to help us fix this shelter school?
Right, those are all very good questions. I mean, I personally would agree with Alan that it would be easiest to designate East Meadow as the emergency shelter because that's the most,
Yeah, it's just something that, you never know what's gonna happen, and
right. And I never even thought of that.
Is
Never
that a
even-
town process? Is Chris like a state process or a town process, or like, is it?
How do they get
I don't
designated?
wanna say easy, is it an easy process to do?
I would guess through Massachusetts Emergency Management, MEMA.
Or do we designate what our shelters are?
A little bit.
A little bit of both. Okay, so how hard of a process would it be to change from the high school to East Meadow?
You'd have to talk to the region or,
Okay. So that's something we can follow up on, definitely, because
Definitely
that's a
things you
very
gotta
good
know.
point. And if we can't, is there funding from the state available to help us because it is our emergency shelter?
it's just another avenue to pursue. to
It's
try to help
definitely.
us, Because in that way, it's not just the school coming after it, it's the town being like, hey, this is our building, this is where, we
Right.
have used this as a shelter in the last 10 years.
In the last decade, it's not a,
It's not out of the realm.
Yep.
What do we do? Can you help us, please? Is there a grant or something that we can, again, Adam and I talked about it, and it feels like the right place to at least bring it up. How can we work together towards this common goal of getting that school to where it can be functional in a multitude of ways again, right? So,
exactly, yes. I'm just writing something down,
Of course.
so I don't forget it.
Jen is awesome. She is great.
I know that. I know the two ends, how I spell mine. Okay.
I gotta get another pad.
What did you say?
I said I need another pad.
Oh, I thought you said something else, and I was gonna reach over and smack you. Funds available. Okay, so then that just actually makes this water a whole lot murkier.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So I guess, and please, I don't mean this the way it's gonna sound, but I guess if you have the funds to cover that original study, and and your committee as a whole is willing to do that, then I would say you would follow proper procedures, which are, I think they're on the state website. I don't know exactly where they are on there, but I think they're on there. And literally just check those boxes down, because, it's the school's funding. We can't say you can't use it to do,
No, I don't, so that, at least that wasn't my or our question, it was more of, again, doing this in conjunction with town. So I can certainly follow the process, but at the end of the day, again, just Chris is the chief procurement officer, you know, I want to make sure everyone is in the loop during this process.
No, and that's
as we go
definitely,
along. So
that's
that
definitely
was
the way
our
that we
main
need to
concern
start.
From the onset, was that if we're gonna do it, we're doing it the right way.
The right way,
There's-
but I hope that's the only way we were gonna do things. But yeah, I mean, and again, I don't know what that process is, and I know I've seen it, but I didn't really commit it to memory. I would just follow those check boxes. And when you need something, you know, if you need information, then we have to ask for it at that point. And if we have a study and it turns out that it's gonna be way more than anybody can afford, then I guess we look at a different avenue, or we hope that the SOI is approved. It's my way of thinking of it.
Could be step one, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to start somewhere. So,
Do you want anything from us as follow-up or anything?
we'd like to be kept in the loop.
Well, yeah.
But no, I don't think we need any direct follow-up unless there's something, I don't know how that process works. So if there's something that you need from us for the process, then yes, of course, always. But if there's nothing that's needed on this side of the town, then until we need to be involved in it,
Well, we'll keep you updated with
And
whatever.
Kathy needs, yep.
yeah.
Kathy, you got a question back there?
I'm sure Chris would know what they need to do as a procurement officer.
Do you know offhand, or is it that something that you have in handy dandy little binder? Because his office is full of binders.
You're gonna wanna know what you're doing, first of all.
So that's,
Self-service.
exactly, so it goes back to the question, what are we doing, the bare minimum, just more than the bare minimum? So I guess that's where we don't necessarily
Well,
need
now-
an approval from the
But
town,
that
but
puts
it's.
us in a tight spot here,
I
because
understand.
we technically can't tell the school committee what to do. You know, we can give you our ideas, and we can give you our thoughts, and to be honest, my thought is we should do the barest minimum possible until we know the future of that building. That's my personal, well, actually, no, that's my professional one here too. But if the school committee says, you know what, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it, then that puts us at odds. And none of us wanna be at odds.
No, but it's one of those things though, you know, what do we think the realistic
Is of the town saying yes.
of the town saying yes, and of there being a new school? I mean.
Right, that's
you know,
why.
So, at some point, we have to use the duct tape and chicken wire to fix this up as much as we can so that we can be functional. So there's gotta be a happy medium somewhere, and that's where we're looking, I guess, you know, we want sort of a little bit of the blessing for that, like, you know, so that, and so we have to do the study before we even know where we're at.
Where you're
So-
at.
It's the first step in the
First
process.
step in the process.
So we can't even really answer those questions until we have.
So maybe we have a meeting after we get the answers to that study.
Yeah, so we
We
have.
sit down and talk.
So everyone's on the same page
Yeah.
to, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what we're all agreeing to. Step one is, we're all in agreement, go ahead with the study, because we really need to know what we're up against, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we can't make any decisions until we know what the extent is.
So I'd say let's not even, like, blue sky beyond that, let's go ahead with,
So I'm just to be clear, it's not necessarily a study, it's a design. So someone's gonna come in
Well,
and
design,
design.
right.
It's
So I'm
not,
gonna-
it's not a study where we're testing airflow or
Right,
anything
'cause
like
we
that.
know
It's a
it's-
design of the.
We've already done all that, we know it's not
to me, the
appropriate.
design and study are the same, because they're gonna go through and design it out.
And they're gonna tell us
based on
what it's
is-
gonna cost us and.
Just remember the
what the-
taxpayers gotta understand it too.
Yeah, so,
Right.
yeah,
So
so,
we want to make sure that we can communicate that to you and to the town with, you know, as much grace and transparency as we can. I mean, you know.
Right. No, maybe we'll get lucky and there's a way that we can do the bare minimum, but leave it so that if we have to, we can easily upgrade it.
Right.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
So is it a complete gut job? Everything's gone?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know until this is
Until they
done?
design
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. There's some abatement that needs to be done,
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Right,
okay.
which is, so, we don't know.
All right.
We don't know.
All right, let's get that step one done then.
Yep.
Because it doesn't even make sense to try to guess what we need, because we could be all that, you know.
Right, and the design will tell us exactly what is happening, what's being abated. So that'll be basically the grand scheme of things. And they'll give us our range of, $3 to $5 million.
I like the $3 price.
I'd like the $3 part too. I'll take that one, sir. Yeah, so I guess you just go from there.
So that's what we'll talk about at our meeting here coming up, and we'll go ahead and do whatever we need to do for that part, right?
Mhm.
I guess that's really all we can.
That's all you can do,
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Because it's great to sort of walk through the whole thing, but we don't know,
we don't know what the whole thing is.
right?
I don't even think we know half of it, to be honest.
So I am afraid of what will be, like
Okay.
when they go through.
I didn't want to say that, so I'm glad you did. Because
Well,
I'm
I
afraid of
just-
where it's going to lead us. You know, when you start a home renovation project?
Right, especially in an older building.
You gotta know what's
what-
behind the walls.
Yeah, what's behind the walls, what's gonna be, what you used to be able to do, which is what has gotten us into that. What you used to be able to do is no longer allowed.
Right. And I
So-
just hope that we're not opening Pandora's box with this, is all
Well,
I'm
there's- I
really
mean,
hoping for.
There's a chance.
I know, there always is.
It happened more than once at West Street, right?
Yep.
So every time they tried to do something.
I'm just hoping that that's not going to happen, because we can't afford it. Financially,
Someone-
emotionally.
We need someone to hit the lottery and donate to the school.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that. So when you come back with a design, can you make it clear and concise so we can, we're talking to the taxpayers, and we need to explain to them what you need, why you need it, and so on and so forth. I know we all want the design for the future, like we're gonna get 1,000 more students coming to this town.
Yep,
Right, but,
certainly.
so let's try to
Certainly.
just keep it like that.
Mhm.
Get it to us, and that'll be perfect.
It's gonna have to be that way in order for me to be able to.
Design for dummies.
Okay.
Design for dummies, we got this. So,
Good?
yeah, I'm good. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah, thank you.
You gotta
Yeah,
start
thank you,
somewhere, I
guys.
guess.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yes.
And I'll keep my fingers crossed.
I mean,
That's all we can do. Say our prayers. I'm not going to church. Have a good meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks. Granby baseball was winning when I left.
Sorry, Alex is having a problem with the live feed.
Are you gonna be speaking or are you?
Nope, I'm just thinking to come see if they need anything.
Yeah, he texted me and I couldn't answer.
Can I just make a comment?
You can make a comment.
This project is a study and then a design. It's not a design.
Okay, but
The
I,
design is they will go through and draw mechanicals and all the stuff that goes along with it, construction documents. The study is, what is the condition of the building now? And how do you address the concern of some report of whatever, okay? It's a two-phase project.
wouldn't that make it a three-phase project then technically?
Two-phase. First is investigative,
Mm-hmm.
to identify the problem. And then phase two, or part two of this, depending upon funding, would be to draw the schematics and mechanicals. Okay? You put up one bid document with two phases,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
That way, when you go to the second phase, all you have to do is have the first phase information vetted by another engineer. That's all you have to do.
okay.
Instead of going out for two design contracts.
Okay,
Oh, one engineer and he does both. Got it.
Right, but I'm just saying, it would be better to lump them into one with two phases.
okay, so maybe we should follow up with Adam tomorrow.
You know,
And-
you're intertwining design and study.
Design and
It's the
study.
same thing. No, they're two separate items.
Okay, so the study would first tell us what's wrong with the building.
Building, right.
Identify the problem.
Okay, then once that problem's identified, it goes to the design phase where they figure out how to fix the problem. And that second part of that part, the fixing problem, tells us how much it's gonna be. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I got that. So I'll follow up with Adam tomorrow.
And the issue is
And let him
going to
know.
be funding.
I think we all understand the issue is going to be funding. I don't think any one of us
Because we
is
just
confused about
pulled
that.
$450,000 out of stabilization fund to fund operations.
Yeah, and that well's
And
running
now you're
dry.
going to pull another potentially $500,000 out for repair.
Well, we'll see, I guess we'll see where it's gonna go. I mean, I am anticipating it's gonna be on that high side, and then that's going to be something the school committee has to
Maybe
decide.
more than on the high side.
Oh.
Not that much right now.
I think it'll be double than what
When
they
a sheet of
think.
plywood costs $100 now?
Wood
Sep-
prices are coming down. Wood is coming down.
It was
Not
up to
fast
high.
enough, but it's
It
coming
was
down.
at 74, it's gone down a little bit, but
See?
not enough.
We might see, pre-COVID prices by January.
Next year, summer.
January. I got work to do
No.
next spring.
The statements are, and everything out there now is Delta variant is more communicable,
That's what I heard too.
okay? So the issue is gonna be on November,
I know.
because people aren't wearing their masks. Guess what? We're gonna be in another shutdown.
I'm just gonna stay in my house.
I'm just being honest with you. I'm looking at all this. They don't have enough people vaccinated, fully vaccinated at this point in time.
Right. I mean, well, the Delta variant would get us sick anyway. It wouldn't kill us, but it'll get us sick, so we still run that risk. But, so I'm following up with Adam that it's a two-phase project. One bid, two parts, right?
You know?
Okay.
It has to be put out on Compass, and it has to be put in the Central Register, and it has to be advertised in a local newspaper. You have to follow all those nice little things,
Okay, well, I can get to that part after.
okay?
If you overload me now, my brain is not gonna remember this.
And when we used it as a shelter last time, we don't cook in there.
Correct, but what they said did make sense with the air quality issue.
All we were using it for was a place to sleep and shower. That was it.
Right, I would prefer to have East Meadow as a designated shelter. That's just me. Glenn's here.
Just letting you know. And that's the call of the emergency management, not the school.
No, that's why we asked what the process was, how easy it was. And I think we could find reasons that East Meadow is the better choice at this point.
Then the issue be is that we shouldn't maintain that generator at the high school if we can get rid of it, because that's the only reason the generator's put us.
Could it be moved over to East Meadow?
Where's for the shop? East Meadow. I don't think that generator will work in East Meadow.
Is that old?
It's the 1950s.
And I don't think the high school in the bad shape as it is, I think it's got more room to
Oh my
put
God, we're running a
cots and
generator
stuff.
from the 1950s?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was a military surplus.
From the 1950s? I don't even think the military still uses things from the 1950s.
Generators will run forever and a day.
Right. Well, they don't run, a lot of generators, only when they test them, they don't really run that much, unless there's a need for them.
But can we get the parts if something breaks? Yeah, that's exactly.
Yes and no.
How much are we gonna
I'm
pay
sure
for
there's
those
something
parts?
over Westover.
A lot of your generators are diesel engines, and they haven't made a lot of changes to diesel engines in the past 50 years.
Yeah.
As
I
it
hope
applies
not.
to, like generators and stuff like that, because it's just, it works. It's the same type of system. Doesn't change much.
Usually it's just the transfer switches that come on.
Yeah.
Would this, and you may not know this, Chris, but would the fact that the high school is our designated shelter help on the SOI? No, they wouldn't take that into account? Okay.
How does that contribute to the education of the children of Granby, it being a shelter?
Because if they have shelter, they're capable of learning. If they're safe and secure.
That's a stretch.
I'll stretch.
That is a stretch.
I can be silly putty.
Nice try.
Nice try. All right, let's move on to correspondence. Is there anything you have for us? Okay. I was just looking through the correspondence folder earlier, and I want to follow up on the letter that we wrote to Governor Baker regarding the waiver for Mass DOT. And has the planning board met since the 24th?
Take that, no,
No, okay.
no.
Okay, then that negates my second one that I wanted to look into. do want to reference an email that we received. Somewhere in here. Regarding the athletic fields at the high school. I know I've seen comments about the athletic fields and the town not maintaining them on Facebook, and I've heard comments. And did you two see that email?
It wasn't an email that.
It was the email that Jeremy had forwarded from John Sullivan, their facilities?
Yeah, they didn't want them cut.
Correct.
Yeah, I saw that.
Correct. I know I saw that email in here. What did I do? Maybe I didn't. Oh, no, it was in departmental reports. I just want to read it because I really want people to understand that understand what's happening. So we received an email from Jeremy Carrier, who is in charge of all town facilities, all the public buildings and maintenance. And he had received an email from John Sullivan, who is the Granby School Department Facilities Maintenance Coordinator, instructing him, per our conversation, it is not necessary to cut the athletic fields until further notice. I will reach out to you in the fall to see where we stand with the fields. So I know that the town has taken some hits on the way the fields look, at least at the high school. And I definitely think that people should be aware that it is not our maintenance department not doing their job. They have been doing their job quite well, and I don't think it's fair for people to assume that it's not, especially since that department has taken some flack after town meeting. You've seen it on Facebook. No one understands why that department was even created, this, that, and the other, because highway department used to do everything. Jeremy and his crew have done a fabulous job, and I don't think it's fair that they're getting the short end of this stick. And on that, I will rest my soapbox.
Thank you.
I mean, all people have to do is call and ask, and they'll get an answer. Instead of, complaining about things on Facebook, just reach out to the people that'll give them the answers. And that's either one of us, or I'm sure sitting up here, you have Chris Martin, they can call the school itself.
Well, I think a
We're
lot of
responsible
people
for
think
fields.
Facebook is an outlet, and I mean, it does reach us, and sometimes you have to go where the people are, I get that. I do
Yeah.
think a quick phone call would eliminate a lot of.
Didn't we give the school department a mower to mow their own lawns? And that's why we split it up. Why aren't they mowing them?
Because of the size of the fields.
They don't have
They don't have
a
the
large
big
one,
mowers.
okay.
They have a zero turn.
Okay, that would take them 8 hours.
The other concern I have is we find when Jeremy is trying to be out there mowing the fields, that all of a sudden the kids will be let out at recess, and the kids go and play in the fields that he's mowing. They do not keep the kids away from the big mowers.
And that's dangerous, and he has to stop.
So the issue becomes is, he has to stop or try and go to a different area. And he finds that if he tries to go to a different area, and then all of a sudden the gym is out there doing whatever they're doing. Makes it very difficult to try and mow large fields if you're trying to work around classes and recesses.
Yeah, I think for next year, we're gonna have to set a schedule as much as we can. I know that we can't set a tight schedule because it depends on rainfall and things like that, but if we can know 2 days ahead of time or a day ahead of time that we're gonna be mowing, we're gonna have to ask the schools to keep the kids in and away, because the mowing has to get done for multiple reasons.
I think we could reach out to the school department.
Yeah, I
have
think-
whoever to
I don't think
speak to the
that'll be a
teachers.
problem. I think we just have to communicate
Who says that's not happening now?
effectively.
Well,
And it's not happening effectively. It's just not. So, Dufresne Park rentals, what do you got for us?
No.
None?
At this point in time. However, I will report that from the last meeting, it was asked about putting contracts on the webpage. And I did contact town council for Mr. Sexton's suggestion. And it's his opinion that we do not put them on the webpage because confidentiality rules and regs change at the state level.
Okay.
And we don't want to be in violation of confidentiality regulations if they change and we have something up on our webpage that, while it's allowed now, may not be allowed at a future date.
Fair enough, so they'll still have to request it under the Freedom of Information Act?
Right. And
Okay.
and as counsel suggested, or included in his opinion, the reason we have that process is to give the town enough time to go through a document to make sure we're not violating any confidentiality issues.
All right, well, that's why we hire town council, so we will follow his directive, well, his opinion. Has everybody been able to read the departmental reports?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Any seconds?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, maintenance warrants, Mr. Martin.
You have 4 warrants in front of you. Number 74 dated June 4th, 2021, the amount of $145,810.73. That is a bill paying warrant. Number 75 dated June 11th, 2021, in the amount of $512,533.10. That is a payroll warrant. Number 76 dated 6/11/2021 for $129,067.78. That is the maintenance warrant that goes along with the payroll warrant. And then you have warrant number 77 dated June 18th, 2021, in the amount of $193,156.84. And that is a bill payment warrant.
Alrighty. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the warrant 0074, 75, and 76, and 77.
Is there a second?
I'll second Rick's motion.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now we're gonna move on to department head liaisons. Let's talk about those, gentlemen. Rick,
Yes.
I'm sure you are wondering what the department head liaisons are.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Basically, one of the three of us we're just assigned to our departments, and we are their liaison, and all that entails.
Okay.
Some people check in with their departments on a weekly basis. Some people check on them monthly. Some people don't. They just say, here's my phone. If you have a problem, call me. I mean, Chris handles most of it, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much what we deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's 7 this year because we added the school. We didn't have the school until last year.
What are the 7?
We have the town administrator.
That's
That's
automatically the chair.
always the chairs.
Okay.
We have the council on aging. We have the police department. We have the fire department. We have the highway department, the building department, and the school department.
Well, if we're open for suggestions, I
I'm
would like
open
to
for
take
suggestions.
the police department, just based on the Police Reform Act that's coming out. I'd like to be part of that.
Is that
Just
the
based
21st
on,
century policing thing?
yeah, that's for the state, and there's gonna be some federal guidelines as well. So I'd like to take part, whoever's the new chief is, to be part of that. When they put into their policy and protocols as how it affects the town and our policing. So I like that. I'd like to actually be part of the school too. I think the school's an important piece. I think they've struggled for a little bit. What I've seen this year at the town meeting and stuff like that. So I think I'd like to be part of that and see if there's any guidance that we can help them with through our board. Maybe set up some of those meetings that we used to have. I know we used to do them several years back, and We haven't really done them the past couple of years, but the school, besides this year, the previous 2 years, budget was, there was no issues with their budget, so, I know we were meeting with them beforehand. But I'd like to get back to that, so I think it's important that we do have a liaison.
We've had a liaison. That would have been me.
Well, I thought you said that was a new one.
That was
Cool.
last year's. Yeah, I
Oh.
became a liaison last year, remember?
Alright.
We can discuss you taking them, that's fine. Do you have any requests that you would like to be on? I mean,
Yeah.
you can decide you want ones that Glenn has too, we can fight over it later. Rock, paper, scissors.
I wouldn't mind working with the fire department or the council of aging.
Fire Department and Council on Aging.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We might have to rock, paper, scissors over the police.
That's fine. I think it's good to change every year.
I do, I agree that it's good for change. I also know that we are in a transition period with them. We will have a new chief in soon, and I have spent literally the last 2 years building a relationship with not just our chief, but our lieutenant, our sergeant, and our officers. And I'd kind of like to see this process through.
No, I mean, I just told you why I wanted to do it,
No, I understand.
so.
The police reform, I get that, and I think that's a very important piece.
Well, not just that, I just, working with the new chief, with that being in my background in criminal justice and law enforcement, that's all.
Me too.
Okay, I'm the only one that doesn't have a background in criminal justice or law enforcement.
So,
I don't know, I'm torn on that one. I mean, that is, they've been mine since the day I got on this board.
I've had them before too,
No, I know you have, I know you have.
so.
Work with the highway and the building.
I have to have some.
But I know why you guys are fighting about the police.
Well, we're not fighting about it, I'm just saying
Is it
why
good
I
to have
want
somebody
it.
fighting over your department, Kevin?
Yes.
Everybody wants you guys.
You got 3 qualified people up here who would love to step
do.
into that role.
I mean, I don't mind doing a highway department either, I've done that before with Dave as well.
I've done Dave's as well. I mean, I can take highway and building, that's an easy one. All right, I guess I will, okay.
Why don't we work together?
I was gonna say,
I
can we
be
work
liaison,
together on
but we
liaison with
work-
the police?
Yeah, work together, absolutely. Of course we can.
Get the best of both worlds. All right, that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Does
yeah.
that work for you?
I want the police department.
Hold on.
All 3 are going to be
Yeah.
his liaison.
What?
All 3 of you are going to be his liaison.
They're gonna have so many people up in that. The Glenn Jen Show. So do you want highway or building? Oh, no, wait, no, I get highway and building. You get school. I had a long horse show day yesterday. I think I'm still recovering. All right, so the way I have it written down, gentlemen, is town administrator goes to me. Rick, you have council on aging. Glenn and I will share the police department. Rick, you've got the fire department. I have the highway department and the building department, and Glenn is going over to the school side.
Chris, if you can see the paper up here, next to town administrator it says Jennifer. Everything else is Jen.
I got tired, I just couldn't put the iffer on there, it was too much effort.
So what you got me doing? This-
You've got council on
this-
aging and fire.
Okay, that works.
And they're both really nice departments to be
Yep.
with. They really are.
They're all nice departments, Jen.
I know they're all nice departments, but I'm saying, I can speak from experience that I've worked with the COA and I've dealt with fire. And I found them both pleasant.
See, now I'm getting old, I think I can help out with this.
The only one that I haven't worked on here is Jeremy, in official capacity.
Well, there you go.
See? What, Kathy?
building department is the building inspector.
No, I know that, but I'm saying the only one I haven't worked with is Jeremy. I talk to the building inspector once a week. When I'm in here, I say hi.
Do you want to assign one to Jeremy?
No, he doesn't need one. Unless he wants one. Does Jeremy want one?
Of course he does.
Do we want to give Jeremy a liaison?
No.
Glenn says no.
Okay.
I don't,
I don't think he needs one. It's Chris.
I mean, he's.
Yeah.
If he,
The reason you do a liaison, in case me
You're not
and the
around.
department head go round and round,
Then they come to us to break the tie.
yes.
well, they always come to us regardless, whether a liaison or not. If he wants one,
If he wants
feels
one, we
he
will
needs
appoint him one.
Absolutely. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, I
if he
mean-
needs one, or he feels he wants one,
I don't know,
absolutely.
Kevin's now saying, well, we don't want one. Do we have to have one?
Well, we like our liaisons.
I'm just giving you a hard time. We'll check with
Well,
Jeremy
I'm glad you
tomorrow
made that a plural.
and see if he wants a liaison. I mean, we're more than happy to step up and send one.
And if he wants one, tell him I'll help.
All right.
All right. Do we need to vote on this now?
Just assign it.
I'm just making sure we didn't have to vote on it to make it official. Just double checking. All right, we're gonna move on to common victualers licenses. Right in front of you. Do you have your reading glasses on?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to read that whole thing. Just the front page, that's all.
Wait, start with the number?
Yep, you're gonna start with, this is the license
I
number.
noticed you used to read those.
This
Now
is-
they're up
He
here.
wants to read them.
I used to read them too, until they got to be too many. And then you'll do the license number and then the fee,
More than be
and then just basically
read that.
start there and all the way
Read
down.
that.
I'm just paying attention to what's going on around here.
All right, move number 21-27 for a fee of $25. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Town of Granby. This is to certify that Evelyn Hatch, DBA, Breezy Acres Greenhouse and Garden at 25 Pleasant Street, Granby, Mass. is hereby granted a common victualler license in said Town of Granby, and that place only expires December 31st, 2021, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violations of the law of the Commonwealth respecting the license of a common victualler.
Say that
Yeah,
10 times
that.
fast.
The license is issued in
I just call it
conformity
common
with the
vic.
authority granted the licensing authority by general laws, chapter 140, and amendment thereto.
Is there a second to his motion?
I'll second his motion.
Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Nope, for Breezy Acres?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one, number 21-28, for a fee of $25. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Town of Granby, this is to certify Friends of Granby Veterans, P.O. Box 38, Granby, Mass. 01033, is hereby granted the common victualler license in said Town of Granby, and at that place only expires December 31st, 2021, unless sooner suspended, revoked for violations of the law of the Commonwealth respecting the license of the common victuallers. I can't say that word. The license is issued in conformity with the authority granted the licensing authorities by general laws, chapter 140, and amendments thereto.
This was for Friends of Veterans?
Does the
Can we
committee
waive that?
wish to waive the fee for
Yes.
victuallers for Friends of Granby?
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
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 All right. So you're going to amend that to waive the fee? You can just say all what I just read, and then you're going to cross that off and write waived.
There it is. Moved it. Amendment?
Yeah, just add, we're waiving the fee in your,
Friendly
There's a motion.
We're friendly to waive the fee
Oh.
for the Friends of Granby Veterans.
is there a second?
I'll second his motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, end of fiscal year transfers, before I really confuse people.
like we did last year, we're able to move money in between departments to cover shortfalls in one with overages from another. Finance Committee will be meeting either this week or next week, early next week, to do. Basically, there are 7 transfers. I have coming from Highway Personal Services to legal expense, $32,000. That is to cover the shortfall due to the fire chief litigation, and we are still in litigation with the GRANBY Ma Gun Club over the 1,015-yard range. As you know, they did appeal the ZBA decision from 3 years ago, 4 years ago now.
And we haven't come up in the docket yet, right?
No.
Okay.
We're still, every now and then, we still have to put together a document and submit it for the judge, the Boston, to the Superior Court. From utility to public buildings, 48,000. It's been a rough year for the public buildings department. We had an issue with the library roof, the new library roof. Some shingles had blown off, and when we went up to repair it, we found out that there was no rain moisture guard that was laid down underneath the
There was no rain barrier?
no rain barrier, and we had to pull up the shingles, pull up all the insulation, pull up all the plywood, and replace it all.
The entire roof?
No.
Just that
We
section?
just did that one section. However.
So the rest of the roof is not rain barriered?
However.
It's only supposed
at
to be 3 feet
some
up.
point, We're probably gonna have to repair the rest of the roof.
Chris, can we go back to when that was built and find out what was the specifications that was supposed to be done? Was that supposed to be part of the roof?
Well.
Because that's mostly common.
Well, we're trying to figure out because I think it was 4 years? No. 2 years ago. We had another windstorm, and some shingles went, it's the flat section of the roof, and put gouges in it. And we had hired a company to come in and fix those gouges, and we think that they're the ones who didn't fix it correctly. So.
So it's in the same spot?
Same spot. We've also have found that from the original construction, a lot of the nails weren't put in correctly. The nails are starting to
Pop
pull
up?
up. So when we have a strong windstorm, we find that the shingles are starting to,
Well, that's my question, is
What was the standard?
do we have a resource to go back on that? Because every manufacturer has a certain specification that's supposed to be installed with. And we can research that and find out if they were installed correctly or not. And if they weren't, we should be going back to the company that installed it.
Statute, though.
but part of the problem we run into, Glenn, is we had a clerk of the works and an OPM, and they signed off that it was installed correctly. That's the problem we run into.
Oh, so we don't have any recourse?
You know, that's the problem when we don't have our own people on there. We bring in an OPM or we bring in.
What is an OPM? Project?
Owner, project manager.
Okay.
Basically, there are our eyes and ears at the construction site.
Can we go back on them if it's not correct? If they signed off that it was and,
I don't know. I don't know if we can or can't.
I mean, it seems like it's not appropriate if,
But a lot of times, the manufacturer will just check from defects, manufacturing.
Right, but if during a windstorm, the shingles are coming off and they weren't installed properly as regards to the manufacturer specifications, then they're not gonna warranty it. Where a manufacturer, if something's installed correctly per their specs, most of your shingles that are built, are used nowadays and installed correctly, are good to like 85, 90 mile an hour winds.
Like I said, we're finding, actually, I probably gonna wanna get probably Joe Mayhew up there at some point to really look at it.
look at it before it gets bad and we have to just,
He's He's the one who identified some of the issues that we've had.
Is he thinking there's like 3 nails instead of 4? Because they just go bang, bang, bang with their nail guns.
Not exactly, I wasn't
Yeah.
up on the roof with them, so sorry.
Please don't go up on the roof. Please.
Um,
That would be catastrophic if something happened.
But I guess we'd have to go back and look at the, God, what was that picture? I don't know if it'd be at the library. or-
How long ago was that?
Library was 2013, I want to say.
So, 8 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'd rather get this taken care of the right way
I
before we have to
mean,
replace the
shingles,
entire
shingles shouldn't be
roof.
blowing off a roof.
Oh, I agree.
Not that quick.
Not unless you're in Kansas.
But we had some real strong winds.
Yeah, we did.
And like I said, it wasn't they're all coming out, it was,
No, but again, they're
it caught.
designed not to come off. I mean, to a point, and our windstorms haven't been like that.
They're not.
Yeah. a couple-
Yeah, we had a couple good
we had
gusts,
some
but-
really bad ones, yes.
But it's worth looking at it. I mean, we can even find out the company or the manufacturer and have someone contact a rep or something, like, just to find out for our own knowledge too,
Yeah,
yeah.
But the issue is, those came up the same storm that took the trees down that took out the pavilion too, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, I agree that it was a bad storm, but, I mean, to be honest, I'm less concerned about shingles than I am the rain barrier. I mean,
Well, it's a
that's
snow and
definite-
ice barrier is what you're talking about, right? The first 3 feet of when it goes up across.
Well, some places will do 5 feet up. They'll do-
So two-
Yeah, it's like that rubberized sheeting that goes on
Yeah.
to protect
Yeah.
the subroof plywood, whatever that thing is
Yeah.
called.
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm more concerned about that because if water gets in there, we're now replacing that sub.
Well, you wanna make sure if the shingles come up, then the water's
Then
gonna
that-
get in.
yeah.
Well, correct. I mean, if it only
Feed
comes
it.
off that first section, then
I believe they're both important.
water's running down, we're not gonna be going under. But I'd much prefer to have the rain barriers on there.
Yeah, well, I think it needs to be,
It needs to be
we should have checked.
investigated.
Yeah.
I agree.
Also, we had issues with a couple of our wells last year. We've had boil orders put out on a couple of our buildings.
Is that still going on here?
Yes, we have one here. We currently have a boil order here because they believe there may be issues with the actual well casing out in the back here, that it may be pitted. So we have to have it cambered to
Oh.
see if we have to replace the casing. The other one had to do with the public safety complex. And what was happening is we kept getting kits. If you get 3 in a row, you have to keep testing on a daily basis. And until you can get 3 more without it,
Right,
then you could get off the order, but we go 2 and now all of a sudden we get the 3rd one with hit.
who does the testing?
Testing.
Do they hand you a bottle and go do it?
Huh?
Do they hand you something and somebody goes to the
No.
faucet, does?
No, we have to hire a certified water operator who is approved by DEP, and they send it to a state certified lab for,
Does anybody here watch them take the water sample? I'm worried about the chain of custody of it.
well, chain of custody, we see.
Do they
We
disinfect
see
around
the
the,
certified operator taking it, but yet we also get a report from the lab that shows chain of custody, and everybody's signing off on it.
right, but I am concerned about, did somebody like sanitize around the faucet underneath it with all the minerals that build up in there? Is that affecting it at all, or is it just the E. coli part of it that's?
Because they do the raw water test, that's the problem. It's
Okay.
not, they'll take a faucet reading, like say in the police department bathroom, or they'll take one in the fire department bathroom, or they'll find a sink somewhere else where they'll take it. They try and change where they're taking.
Change the location, but I'm concerned about their procedure when they take in the water. Is it clean first, then they turn the tap on? Or they just put it underneath it without any disinfecting of the area?
They can't disinfect you right. Because if you disinfect it, then you're gonna probably get not have a reading if you've only cleaned it for that one day.
Well, you're still gonna get the E. coli, let's use that for the example, and you're still gonna get that, but if the water runs, I don't know if there's a protocol for how much is the water running through it to get
I don't
it.
know how long it runs. Yeah, I do know they run it a little bit, I don't know how long.
Okay.
I don't know if it's running for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't walk around with them. If you want.
Yeah, you got too much to do, I understand
No,
that.
I'll tell you what, it's usually, we can call Jeremy, because Jeremy usually accompanies the
Oh, perfect.
water operator.
Dripping everywhere.
Okay.
He's got it. You know that, huh?
All right. Thank you.
All right, so, did we finish this before we started our discussion? Did you get through it all?
End of the year fiscal stuff.
Yeah.
No, we haven't gotten through it all.
I didn't think
was
so.
only at number 2.
That's what I thought. Okay, moving on.
Next one is from Highway Personnel Service, Police Personnel Services, $10,000. Basically, we had some overtime and the COVID-related material where we had it covered for when some officers were out because they were diagnosed positive for the COVID. Utility expense to dispatch personnel services, $20,000. Again, a lot of overtime coverage in that department. The utility expense to Board of Health Personnel Services, $1,000. Basically, halfway through the year, the Board of Health increased their coverage for the department. They replaced a 25-hour position with a 35-hour position. And we did get some grant money to cover some of that, but we still need just a little bit more. For workers' compensation, the health insurance, $80,000. When you go and analyze what was happening, we're finding that a lot more employees are taking the town health insurance because our rates have been sort of flat for the last 2 to 3 years. A lot of companies in the state and other employers are going up, usually anywhere between 5 and 7% per year. So we're finding more and more employees are starting to take our plan instead. And then snow and ice to police expense, $5,000. We bought some bulletproof vests. It's about $5,000, and we have not gotten any state or federal reimbursement for those vests at this point in time.
Are we expecting any reimbursement for
Do
them?
not know.
Okay,
Do not know, but if
I didn't know
we
how
get-
that worked.
If I don't cover this expense, it goes against our free cash certification.
okay.
There was some grant money about a year or so ago for vests and things like that.
There is a bulletproof vest program.
Yeah.
Supposedly, you're supposed to get money from the feds. A lot of times, we don't get money from the feds. They promise it, but we don't get it.
Yeah.
And we need our vests, so that's a
Yes.
it's a non-starter on that side.
And actually, it's supposed to be the feds pay a certain percent, and the state are supposed to pay the remainder. But we don't quite get the money all the time.
Go figure.
So,
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfers.
The interdepartmental transfers.
The interdepartment, oh, there it is. Yep. Second, approve the following interdepartmental transfers.
I'll second Rick's motion.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No, baby. Did you gentlemen do your homework?
We got some old business here. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, I know we have,
We just got,
Wish
it's just, there's something that we
Oh.
approved last time. We just got to sign it.
yes, their homework, my wish list.
Wish.
Yes, that is. So did anybody come up with anything that they
Is
would
it
really
your
like to see
wish
this
list,
for?
or is it
No, it's
our wish
your,
list?
it's your wish list to give to us so we can create a list.
Oh.
Who would like to start?
I'll start. I think the number one, I would like to see us consolidate the town offices into one building. And if we can do it at West Street School, if it can be done, let's get it done. If it can't, if we need to tear the school down let's get that done.
All right,
I
do you have
think-
anything else on your?
For a wish list, I would like to see some infrastructure brought in town, AKA with a water pipe,
I think you're not the only one with that one.
so we can get some businesses in town here.
I agree with that. What about you, Glenn?
Well, Rick stole mine.
Which one, infrastructure? or-
Actually, both. But my most, I think, important thing that I want to see is eventually get our town offices under one building.
Yeah.
I'm not truly in favor of West Street School. I haven't been for many years. I think we've looked at other options for the town. I mean, eventually that's something this town needs to move forward with. We're paying rent for a building to have.
Up there and we're
Yeah.
down here. I
And we're
agree.
separate, and I think, it's something long-term that I think that we need to start looking at and planning for. Because that's one thing I think residents always talk about, is like, it'd be nice to have a town hall whenever all the offices are in one spot, and, it's one-stop shopping, if you will. And look at, instead of us paying other people rent to use their buildings, eventually we could, build our own building, and what, we're paying for other rentals. So, I
Goes
mean,
from- no, I
right,
agree.
might as well pay for something the town's gonna have as its own.
All right, well, I also had Consolidate the town offices on mine. And I would love to see them at West Street. I've read the reports, and I don't see anything structural there that would impede us from doing it. It would just be a cost of renovation. However, I'd like to see them under one roof, whether it be in West Street or in a new building, depending cost-wise on that one. The other thing that I had on my list was, I would love to see a town beach in town.
We're kind of far from the ocean, right?
Oh, you're so funny. I would like to see a town beach in town.
You think, that's not a bad idea.
It's-
The old Boy Scout
The
camp.
old Boy Scout camp. I mean, it's
We,
owned by the state right now. We gave it to the state, but they're not doing anything with it. I wonder if we could take it back. Something to look into. Let's give the town something for their taxes. We don't have much in the way of entertainment around here.
It's a very good idea, but that's something I think, if we're looking to do something for the town like that, the expense, the cost that goes along with it, make sure that's something the town would like to have.
No, I know. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I just want to be able to have ideas that we
No,
can
I
bring
think, like I
forth
said,
to
I think
the town.
it'd be nice to
Give
have
them something,
a
a
place for people to go
recreation
to and stuff like that.
Small beach. Aldrich Lake used to be a hopping place.
Used to be a roller skate
We
right
used to have a
there,
roller skating rink there, a
Dance
dance
hall.
hall. So,
before Glenn's time.
Yeah,
well, that was
sure.
definitely before
Or
my
a-
time, and I know about it. Come on now.
Apparently it was there when
He's
I was
calling
a kid,
you.
I don't remember it.
He's saying you're young.
I know what he's saying. And I appreciate it.
Alrighty. So, alright, those are the three things that we will start focusing our energy on, I guess, figuring out a plan that we can bring to the town, if any of them are feasible. Infrastructure, hopefully we've already got that in the bag and we're just gonna get the answer that we'd like that'll continue that project. Speaking of which, when are they supposed to start that project?
They're starting.
Okay, when are we gonna see pavement coming up? Okay.
They've been doing a lot of just the measuring and marking.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the paint on the ground, the
And
markings.
doing the,
Doing the runoff stuff down in South Hadley.
Storm drains or whatever, I know that's what.
That's what they were doing in South Hadley.
Oh, dig safe stuff?
dig safe. A lot of it was dig safe stuff.
Okay, and I don't even know if you guys would know this answer, but for details, will our officers have the option for those details?
When they get to town line.
When they come to
Yeah.
town line?
Yeah.
Does it automatically go to us first? Or does it go through the state first since it's a
The
state
state
project?
handles it, they disperse them, they know what the rules
Okay, I don't know what the rules are, that's why I didn't know if our department got
Yeah.
first
are.
dibs
Yeah,
at,
we get first
okay.
right.
Or you think it's because it's a state highway, the state police would be first?
That was, well, yeah, because it's, I mean, it's state owned, so I could figure they could say, hey, stateies get it first, or let's give it to,
No, that was worked
Yeah.
out years ago, that we
Yeah.
get it even before the state police.
I like that answer, thank you. Does anybody have anything they would like to discuss, bring up, talk about? Or would we all like to go home?
Like to
I
go
like to go
home.
home.
In that case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.